Let's talk about 10 strategies for employee training or team training and development to supersize and grow your business. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and I mentioned yesterday, I want to talk about this topic. I don't think we talk about it enough. And I think a lot of millions and millions of businesses actually ignore it and don't do hardly anything about it. They leave it up to the individual to be responsible. And guess what? We are 100% personally responsible for our own training, our own development, getting our own needs met within or outside of an organization. But in an organization, a lot of times we expect there to be systems and programs in place that will help us to grow and develop and be a better, more productive performer in that organization. I have always had that expectation because I chose my first job out of college intentionally to go to work for a huge corporation, one of the most famous global corporations to this day, because of their employee training, leadership, professional development, continuing education type programs that they offered within that organization. So continuous learning, lifelong learning has always been super important to me. It's one of my core values, right? And we want to find things that match our core values. We also want to create those in our businesses so that we attract the right people and we retain the right people so they have a better experience with us so that they can grow and expand and become the best possible version of themselves within our organization. Well, what are some of the strategies we use to do that? I'm going to quickly, or try to quickly, share 10 things that I've learned over my decades, literally 5 decades in business, so that you can shortcut the process and not have to figure everything out yourself. What is the first thing we need to do? Number one, we need to identify what skills and abilities do our different employees and different categories of employees or different team members need in order to be successful in our organization. And it's going to be different for everybody, right? Everybody comes into our organization, including us, with a set of skills, yet there's going to always be skills and abilities that are not yet developed because we haven't had the opportunity to need or use those skills. So we want to identify where are the skill gaps, where are the gaps between where people are at and then what they need in order to perform their job to the best of their ability. And hopefully so they outgrow their job and can expand and grow and help us supersize and build our business. Secondly, we need to set clear objectives. What the heck is the objective of any training or skill development experience we're going to have for ourselves or the people in our organization? Now, I don't know about you, but I spend the vast majority of my time and energy sharpening my saw, sharpening my axe, whatever you call it, trying to learn and grow and continually improve. I'm an avid reader. I'm legally blind, yet I still find ways to read every single day because I know the power of that. A lot of people don't read at all. The vast majority of people, even in America, don't pick up a book after high school. That's really mind-blowing to me, but that's how people are. I thank my parents every day, and I'm grateful that they taught me and my sisters, and I've taught that to my children as well and my grandchildren, the love of reading and learning and growing and lifelong learning. So we want to identify the skill gaps, and we want to set clear objectives. What's the objective of our overall training philosophy and program and processes for our organization? And then we're going to do that on an individual basis. I know how much most people hate performance appraisals and feedback from their boss, but that's because most leaders and bosses are doing it wrong. If people leave a meeting with you or a feedback session or a performance review feeling bad, guess what? That's not on them. That's on you as a leader and a coach and a developer of those people, because that's what our job is as business owners and leaders, is to be of service to the people that are part of our organization. And that means helping them to become a better version of themselves in a way that feels good to them. Now, we could get into the whole topic of some people are sensitive and can't take any feedback. That is true. But that is then an area for skill development and training for them, right? And there's a whole lot of programs and options out there to help people with that. You don't have to be the one that does it, right? So we want to choose then third, the right training methods for the individuals and for our organization. Guess what? All of our organizations are different. All of our businesses are different. And what works for one business may or may not work for you. And it's up to you as the leader and whoever is selecting training and skills development for your organization. It might be you. It might be an HR person. It might be an outsourced activity. You have to make sure that what you're buying or using actually fits with your culture and what results you want for your organization. Fourth, we want to provide continuous learning opportunities for people in our organization. I don't think I ever worked for an organization that didn't encourage learning and continuous education. I just chose not to, because that is such an important thing to me personally. Fifth, we want to include technology and leverage technology, especially when our businesses are small. And there's no reason not to nowadays. You can get a college education online. You can get master's degrees, doctorates online nowadays, which is much more economical in some instances than not. You can take courses at Ivy League organizations, Ivy League colleges now online. You can, anything you want to learn, for the most part, you can find an online or technical opportunity to learn that. Gosh, I can't tell you how many YouTube videos I've watched because I needed to figure out a life skill at home and I didn't know how to do something. Now we have YouTube at our fingertips. When I was growing up in business and as a young adult, you had to go to the library. You had to go search out information. You had to pick up the phone and call experts or call people to ask questions, or write letters or write inquiries and things. Literally write letters, not just emails or text messages. We have more access to information and knowledge and wisdom than at any other time in the history of the world. And so are we using that to improve our organizations, or are we just letting it go by the wayside and just doing what we've always done because we've always done it that way? That is one of my pet peeves, by the way. 6, we want to offer hands-on experiences and training with the trainings we're teaching people. Some trainings do this, some don't. But if I'm going to send someone, or I'm going to go to a training and there's no experiential part of that or practicing the skills, it's missing a huge component, and they'll definitely get that feedback. And we probably won't use that again, because you have to be able to practice and use the things that you learn, or you're going to lose them. It's why one of my favorite folks online, Steve Larson, tells people to, as soon as you learn something, go out and teach it to someone else. It doesn't even matter who it is. I can't tell you how many things I've taught my children, which incidentally, they still retain and use today, that I never thought got through to them, or I thought it did, but that they would maybe never use it or care. Yet I see examples of those lessons learned and those experiences and those reteaching to them popping up all the time in their adult lives. And I personally think it's awesome. Number 7, we want to implement mentorship programs. We talked about this yesterday a little more in depth. Do you have a mentorship program? It can be formal or informal. Sometimes the informal ones are more powerful, but is that a part of your culture? Is that even important to you and your culture? Why or why not? And maybe it isn't. I'd be curious to know why not. Sure, you can always message me. This is why we don't do it. I'd love to hear those stories, because I think that the reasons for not doing it are far less important to your culture and your business and your longevity and your success than for doing it. Are there problems and challenges with everything, including an employee training program or employee training, any employee training? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean you throw in the towel and you give up and you don't do it, because it's the right thing to do. Mentorship program. 8th strategy we want to make sure we're doing is, are we monitoring progress of our overall training and development system for our organization, for the people in our organization? Are you monitoring your own personal progress when it comes to training and personal development and growth? And are you getting feedback? Are you getting feedback? And are people that are getting training and setting up your training programs, are they getting feedback about what's working and what's not working? 9, we want to recognize and celebrate successes, and recognize and celebrate growth and improvement, right? And how you do that will be different for each of our organizations. We've found some really amazing and fun and creative ways to do this. But what I find works best is if we match the reward and the celebration with the person that's had the accomplishment, right? You can ask them what they would like in terms of celebration. Sometimes, and it's different for everybody. Some people are very outgoing and extroverted, and they love a celebration and a party and a cake and a, whatever, or going down to the local tavern and having a drink together. It's different for everybody. So find out what's important to them. That's my favorite way. And finally, 10, you have to evaluate and monitor your entire overall culture, right? Do you monitor your culture as well as education and training for the people in your organization? So I'd love to know what you're doing in your organization for employee training. A lot of times it's just seat of the pants on the job training. And I've had companies where I've done that, but as soon as we possibly can, which is usually early and right on in the beginning, we start to formalize and create a framework for employee training, for team member training, in whatever skills are necessary. All right, that's all I've got today. Have an awesome day. And I will, of course, be with you tomorrow with another strategy you can use to supersize and grow your business right now. Have an amazing day.